Greetings and welcome to the ROI Clear podcast. My name is Ray Hightower, and today we are fortunate to have as our guest Ms. Sharon Riddle. Sharon Riddle is co-founder of Excalibur Investments of Texas, LLC. She has worked in companies, not-for-profit organizations, and government agencies. She has a very eclectic background in business and in leadership and in government and all sorts of organizations. She began investing in single-family real estate in 2005 with her business partner, Dan, and she is now investing in multifamily real estate, and she has some other business experiences that I'm sure we're going to get into here. Without any further delay, please join me in welcoming Ms. Sharon Riddle. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you, Ray. I'm happy to be here with you today.
Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. And to kick things off, why don't we do the elevator pitch? I'm going to say, for those who are new to the ROI Clear podcast, Sharon Riddle is on an elevator with someone she wants to influence. So we're going to ask her, what would you say to that person in the course of an elevator ride?
Well, in the course of an elevator ride, I would say, even though I have an MBA, even though I've been in business for many years, I would have never dreamt that I had founded and created more than one business, that I have been invested in 18 multifamily properties, and that I have been a podcast guest on 18 podcasts to date.
Wow. You cannot connect the dots looking forward, only looking backwards, right? As Steve Jobs would say.
Right.
Wow. So why don't you take us through that? We could start with your single family house investing experience. We could go to what you've done in government. I know at one point when you were acting as a CFO, you were debugging spreadsheets during an acquisition when Alberto Culver was buying one of the companies you were with. So go as far back as you like, and let's dive right in and ask you some questions.
Okay, well, I will say with single family, we can go back further.
Okay.
When I was an analyst. So
Yeah.
actually, I was an analyst with Sally Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And this was before Ulta appeared on the market, regarding grabbing the purse strings, as the CEO always said, grabbing the purse strings of America's women. That's the way he always looked at it, because he was, wow. Mr. Inslee was a fabulous salesman. And so I was pulling together the budgets. So we were doing the monthly reports, and we had to really go down deep because it was a privately held company, and it was owned by the Alberto Culver family, who owned Alberto Culver. So that's really where I got more analyst experience. I'd really built upon that previously by, well, so many types of jobs where I was utilizing spreadsheets, where I was understanding the language of business, which I was able to do through my MBA, because I received that at the University of Dallas in 1994. And I did take some additional hours in accounting and finance. So, yeah, so not only did I have team leadership in our capstone program, we had 3 team leaders. We convinced our professor, Bruce Evans, to have what he would always refer to as the triumvirate, hearkening back to Rome. But he was a clever guy that way.
Yeah.
But we felt it was more efficient, and that's how we really had the division of labor.
Yes.
Very, very successful with that. We had an aerospace client, King Aerospace, still exists at Addison Airport. And we pulled together that business plan for Mr. King and for his staff. And yeah, we did it the way we wanted to do it. And so we had to pitch that too.
Yes.
So that was a very valuable lesson for me. And I really carried that forward in my business career. Before that, I'd been a consultant at one point in time with Computer Science Corporation. So I was on site with a consultant, which is Region 6 EPA, US EPA.
Yes.
So there with a lot of scientific people, very interesting environment to be in. Fast forward, I've actually been a senior business analyst for Dallas area rapid transit. So went to lunch with GIS analysts and transit engineers and planners, just a lot of people, different sector than government. But, you know, it was just really interesting working with a lot of people. And I carried forward my consulting headset. So that's one thing that I always carried forward in any position I had. I had an entrepreneur headset.
Entrepreneur, that is inside. Yes.
Inside
Yes.
before I became an entrepreneur.
Yes. So tell us about that. You said you carried with you your consulting headset, I guess headset, mindset, a consulting viewpoint. Tell us about that, because you're an MBA, but you're also very detailed. You have the leadership of the MBA, but you also have the analysis from your financial analyst background. So how does that come together to turn you into an entrepreneur?
Well, it turns me into an entrepreneur because I had to work with executive level management in those jobs, not only with Sally Beauty, a privately held company, but also with Dallas Area Rapid Transit. I had executive VPs that I was on projects with, and I would just really give it to them straight. And one time I was on a project with an executive VP who was in the HR area of Dallas Area Rapid Transit. And I told him straight up, Ben, if you have two teams working on this project, do you not trust my work? I mean, I was very, very frank. And he said, no, Sharon, I really do. I said, then tell me how it's efficient that you have two teams working on the same problem. You know, they're not going to come to a different outcome. They really aren't. I don't see how that's going to happen. So dropped the one team, trusted my work, and he had me come back for multiple projects as a senior business analyst.
He had two consulting teams working on the same project.
I just didn't feel that it was not efficient. I did not feel that was efficient, Ray.
Right.
And I just called him out on that.
Yeah,
I will say, one of the projects that I did receive an award for was over in the material department. And that was a huge reconciliation. Really got all the vendors back on track. They were behind payment. They had gone from a legacy system to a cloud-based system.
Yes.
And so there was some discrepancies regarding the transfer of data. So because I had been in an analyst role and digging through and all the reconciliation in my past life, as well as being part of a logistics startup, I was able to jump in there after their material director died unexpectedly.
Oh.
And the people called for me to be there. I was the only member of finance that was at this man's graveside service.
Oh, so what we unpack that a little bit. There's the professional element, you know, certainly you're going in there with your consultant's hat, but then there's the personal element, you know, somebody passes away, you're there to console the family too. And
I'm there to console the family. I'm there to console his longtime team.
Yeah.
I was there. And so when the CFO at Dallas Area Rapid Transit said, what can I do? They said, you need to send Sharon Riddle over to us because we have a big problem to solve and we need a person to help solve us. Now, they also brought in a more senior accountant. This man had multiple careers. So he and I were in this office. We packed our sack lunches and we went through this reconciliation utilizing two systems. We just took care of business. That's what we did. And I've got the vendor payments back on track, got everything back on track.
So this is fascinating to me because you've had such an eclectic background. you've touched so many aspects of business and consulting and government and not-for-profit and all of these together, essentially organizations of people getting things done. And because of that, somewhere in your brain, I don't know how it's organized. Maybe we'll dig into your brain and find out how it's organized. Because of that, you're in a great position to solve problems, maybe problems that would present themselves as counterintuitive or unsolvable, like a Gordian knot or something like that, just because you have this crazy background. I don't mean crazy in a bad sense, but in a good sense.
Yeah, it was a little wavier than
Yeah.
some. It crossed multiple sectors, which is a huge contrast to my business partner and spouse of 35 years. He is an aerospace guy.
Yes.
Aerospace, long time aerospace, very linear career path.
Yes.
Mine was not the linear career path. And I also did not have the technical undergraduate and a technical MBA like Dan Riddle does.
Yes.
I had a liberal arts undergraduate degree coupled with my MBA.
Yes.
So very different problem solving, I would say, skill toolkit.
It's wonderful that you complement each other, though.
Yeah. We come to the same outcome often, right? We
Yes.
don't have the same process by which we do that. And so we have to really go through that, both standing our grounds and then say, okay, how do we arrive at the same point that we both agree is the outcome, should be the outcome, the desired outcome. It's very interesting.
And it could be any one of a number of different paths, but as long as you get there, it was just like a math problem. Is if you're doing it right, you should get the same answer, even if you do different procedures.
Exactly. And it's interesting because we have another partner who is electrical engineer.
Yeah.
Microelectronics.
Yes.
Design. That's his background. And we can talk to him and we can arrive at the same place, but it's a different path. He has been on property tours with me. He has witnessed the different path.
Yes.
And I think because of my liberal arts undergraduate background, I thought I was going to be a counselor. No joke. I thought I was going to be a counselor. And so people feel very comfortable with me.
Yeah.
I've had leasing agents tell me that no, we don't have 3 assisted living Section 8 tenants in this property. We have 23. My partner has witnessed that. My business partner and spouse and the other general partner, who is the engineer. Critical data.
Yeah. Very critical data. That makes a big difference in your underwriting.
Certainly does. And we revised it.
Yeah. When you're going after your multifamily properties, we're going to bounce around a little bit because I see so many fascinating paths we can take here. I'm curious, what is your buy box for the multifamily deals that you're doing? What are you looking for?
Well, we are looking for, we'd really like to be in B class. Of course, a lot of people would. We want to stay within that 100 unit range. And we'd like to have late 70s, which is the year I graduated from high school. So that's our little joke. The year Sharon graduated from high school, at least, or it's built. And so that's what we'd like to see. I would really like to escape boilers and chillers because I know that if we've got boilers and chillers, we're going to have reserve.
Sure.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah. It's the only, big systems, big, potentially expensive repairs. So yeah, you definitely do want to have.
And pitched roofs.
Yeah.
Pitched roofs. You can appreciate all these things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, geographically, where are you looking?
Well, we're up in Denton. Our partner is in Plano, Texas.
Yes.
We've got some other people that can swing on that are California and Arizona. But we really, our thought pattern in this is that Dallas-Fort Worth, because of the growth, not only for business, but for employees, is still such a hub. It's still such a hub. It attracts investors. So we're looking at continue to be very attractive as a general partner to investors as well. So not only the property, but what is attractive to investors, and they feel secure in, because a lot of people, there's some nervousness even with some very seasoned passive investors who have gone through some mentorship program with me.
Yes.
You know, there's some nervousness even with them, and they're like the most stable of the stable.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So
what would you say is the source of the nervousness?
The interest rate hikes have not helped. The inflation situation has not helped. The debt in the multifamily space, what is required, because I will tell you, in our earlier years, and that point was 2015, we had sponsors who had bridge debt. And we were able to do very well, profitably. And our returns were excellent, like 3 times in a short period of time, 30 months. My best one was 30 months, had a fire, and had a bridge loan. And we were able to really able to outperform. So it was a 3 times return on the principal.
Whoa.
It was a little gem of a property. The backstory is we'd had a property in Duncanville, Texas, a long-term rental. Dan, my partner, had picked it up in our single family days as a REO, as a bank-owned property. And so we both extrapolated, hey, maybe we should be on this Duncanville deal of airing cats. We really thought that would work. Here I am. I was running after this man. I really was, at one of our mentor events, bus tour. And I could not get his attention. So I literally said to him in a very loud voice, Aaron, where do I wire the money?
Wow.
I got on that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be very persuasive.
Yeah, you know, that's one of those questions, just a few words, but there's so much in there.
Yeah, there is. And he knew that I would follow through. So.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
And he's got a very interesting backstory. I'll tell you, you should be.
Yeah, share that with
He should be on here in the future, because he has an interesting family story, very entrepreneurial, before real estate.
That's a teaser. All right. Well, we need to make sure we get in touch with him.
Yes. Because he's looking.
When you started in real estate, did you know that you would become part of a mentoring program, or how did you take off with it? Did you pick up books? What was your path?
I have had a mentor at every stage. I've had a mentor in single family, where I was self-managing the properties.
Yes.
So I was doing all of that. That's why I appreciate Basecamp as far as your experience using Basecamp.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I know about it. But so we had that going on. And I will tell you that even now, we associate with one of the coaches from that early time, 2005. That's when we first knew Jimmy Reed. We are a sponsor of one RE club, and it is the oldest club, the oldest REO in Tarrant County. Oldest one. He's kept it going that whole time, that long.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's
consistently consistent with no
interruptions.
Yeah. Okay.
No interruptions. But what they did during COVID is they started filming. So they gave people an online option. Right. But I will tell you, one of the things that really helped us moving forward into the 2008 time period was going to an Alan Cowgill boot camp. Alan Cowgill is still in the business, helping people learn how to work with private lenders. Because banks weren't loaning money on real estate, investment property. So that's how I got my passive investors working with me, my private lenders. And that's how we were able to expand to about 10 properties. However, we found we could not scale it enough. And I had another coach, mentor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Dennis Henson, who connected us with Brad Sumrock. We went to an early rat race to retirement in 2015. We had the promo code, went for free, and that's how we have 18 multifamily properties through that community, the connections that we've had. Because our criteria was it always had to be conservative underwriting. And, we've developed many relationships with some people who are fine operators. I even know one that is vertically integrated. So they do everything down in San Antonio, Texas. Arlene Garza is a powerhouse. Her adult children are in the business now. And they are a machine. They are operating like a machine. And so moving forward, as you well know, in 2023, that's when one of my community and a person who'd been on a couple of LOIs that made best and final, it's Greg. It was Greg, and he's one of your partners.
Greg Butcher.
Greg
is fantastic.
Greg is amazing. He encouraged me and invited me to come to Race Fest. And then I joined. And he got a referral because I did it. But just knowing Greg too, I mean, it was really such a blessing because it really greased some skids, because I came into Brad's community and I made the connections myself. But I came into Ray's Master and I had people I already knew.
Because of all the seeds you had planted and all the work you had done prior to that, all the relationships you've been building over the years.
Exactly. Some mastermind level people in another community. I knew personally. I knew what they'd done in the past. I knew what they were up to now. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. You put a lot of work into it.
It's almost a decade just with the multifamily. And all the way back to 2005 regarding the beginning of real estate with single family rentals. And self-managing.
Let's talk about present day. What is it that you're working on now that you're really excited about, that you just want to share with people? What are you excited about now?
Well, what we are doing right now is, I will tell you, we are on the hunt. We are on the hunt in a challenging time. Let's just be realistic. Because the volume is low. I have time to call when I have time to call brokers, which I've been calling brokers for 2 years. That's why I've popped up on the radar screen. And because we've been best and final on 2 properties, that's why I am on a radar screen. But when they have time to talk to me, when I have partners who are answering the phone, I know, wow, the volume is really low. Really low. But even properties that I'm not touring, Ray, I will take the time to talk to the broker and restate our criteria. So they remain engaged. So they remain engaged.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. And I do have a little question for you. This was one thing that Ash Patel brought up to me on Wednesday. Is the idea of a virtual coffee, a virtual lunch. And I had not considered that regarding broker teams.
That's interesting.
I thought it was fascinating and
That is very
certainly
interesting.
worth some implementation.
Yeah, well, we try it out, and the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work. And even if it doesn't work, you're on the call with the brokers, and you laugh about it not working, and that builds the relationship too.
Right. But he also suggested coupling that with the Zoom call
Uh-huh.
during the lunch. And I thought, this is pretty intriguing idea.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many opportunities to do things in this business. And
There
so
are.
you're on the hunt. So you've would it be fair to say you've lined up money? Perhaps are you doing a fund to funds model or some other model? Are you doing
We're
standard?
we're we're doing syndication.
Okay, you're doing
So,
standard
so
syndication.
I'm doing syndication, and I described this to Ash too, as an operator.
Mm-hmm.
So our team, we're operators.
Right.
We're operators, and we will bring on operators. But that's how we're organizing, and that's how we're looking at things. I have several coaches over
Mm-hmm.
in the Sumrock community that review our underwriting.
Yes.
Even have former, well, not former, but current sponsors who review our underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Dan is like an underwriting machine. And
Yeah.
I mean, I will bring in things to be really more top level and determine, okay, we're going to have to cut this thing off. You can only go through so many iterations,
Yeah.
and it's a snapshot in time. And this is one thing that I really learned from my analyst days. Even when you have financial reporting, financial data, and monthly reports are like that too. They're a snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to determine what is the best snapshot you can have in that moment. Now, with Dan being in aerospace and Mariana DeSegna being in microelectronic engineering, they could just be happy as clams going through and doing it because they seek perfection.
Yes.
I understand that there is nothing as perfection. All you can do is an approximation,
Yeah.
snapshot in time. That is the best effort, and you've got to understand that. And this is the thing, this is the difference in our thinking. And I think one of the strengths I bring to the table when we have discussions regarding this.
I bet those discussions make you stronger too, because you're looking at it from different angles, right?
It does, and I'll be honest with you. There are times with both Dan and Mariano that they're like, yeah, you were right. We needed to just pull the plug, stop that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had even explained one time because we were on I was on a monthly call with Hunter Thompson, with
Mm-hmm.
Master, and
Yep.
talking about that deal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if you were on that call, but the $2 million gap, you had to let it go. Somebody
Yeah.
puts in $2 million more than your offer, you have to pass. You have to let that go.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I will tell you, both Dan and Mariano even more, had a very hard time letting that go because
Mm-hmm.
volume is low. But when they thought about it more, took about 2 weeks. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you were right. I said,
Wow.
I said, hey, guys, I even broke this down with Hunter Thompson himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you cannot close in on a $2 billion gap. You can't do it. The gap
Yeah.
is too great. And I understood that just from the numbers perspective. And I think it's just really the analyst side in me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But they were seeking perfection.
Right, right, right. And you
I
understand
was
their
like, this is the
role.
snapshot. This is what
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
snapshot can do.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
We are coming to the end of our time together, and this is going so quick. Sharon, there's so many more questions I want to ask you because every time you answer a question, it's like opens up a whole new certain avenues I want to pursue and explore. And we got to have you back. I mean, certainly we
Okay.
have to have you back at some
I'd
point.
love to be back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We want to do that. As we wrap up, I mean, clearly you're constantly learning. You're a sponge for learning. what are you reading right now, or what are you listening to right now as you sharpen this tool that is your brain?
Well, what I am listening to, of course, we have those weekly calls
Mm-hmm. Yes.
going through the modules too.
Yeah.
But next week I will also be at a mastermind. I'll
Mm-hmm.
be because I'm now a two mentor woman. So
Okay.
I am taking the power of two different communities and two different mentors,
Yes.
specialized in two different areas.
Sure.
So I am utilizing that. And I will also say I get a lot of data, like John T. Chang and also Jay Parsons, if you're
Mm-hmm.
following them on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
They're data-driven guys. Jay has those excellent charts on top of everything else. And so I'm also following economists. I'm following those sorts as well as the technical people.
Yes.
And I was at a previous mastermind event in Dallas, made me very, very reflective because
Mm-hmm.
I've been an analyst. I've been downtown Dallas working on a W-2 job 4 different times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like 4 different eras as far as what the city looked like during
Wow.
that time. But who was there? Charlie Young was there. He is the president of Madera Residential.
Hmm.
And Charlie is looking at data like I look at data. He cannot get enough data. And
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love this guy. He is so awesome. He follows Jay Parsons. So that's a tip really for your audience. Is
Yes.
Jay Parsons out there? He's got his hand on that pulse. And Michael Becker too. He was there at that time. And he's got his hand on the pulse. He's a banker, so totally
Yeah.
different disciplines, but they know what's going on in the economy as a whole, in the regional economy, and in the multifamily real estate space.
Yeah. The macro does affect the micro.
It does. It truly does.
That's amazing. Finally, Sharon, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is www.excalibur. So I'm going to spell it EXCALIBRE, Texas, TEXAS.com. And I'm going to make a special effort for your guests, all the podcast guests moving forward. I'm going to put an extra sizzle in the blogs. My marketing team just talked about it yesterday. We're going to put an extra sizzle because it's hot here in Texas. We might as
Yes.
well make the blog sizzle too
Oh, yeah.
and really give investors more for their money. Just give them a lot.
Sure. Sure. Wow. And that is why you are well positioned to be out on the hunt. You are constantly building relationships with investors, which gives you a pot of money that you can use as you go out on your hunt for new
Well,
deals.
and I am reestablishing an old relationship with a classmate. He was a bandmate, but he
Mm-hmm.
fits the profile. He is an engineer. His brain, he can wrap himself around this, and I'm going to be giving Michael Holman everything I can.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I need to watch you as everything unfolds with you with your business, and I'm grateful that you took the time to join us here at the ROI Clear podcast. I'm grateful for you, Sharon Riddle. Thank you for being with us here.
Thank you so much, Ray, and I love to be back because there's so much more we can even unpack. So
Yes,
much more.
lots more.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you for engaging with the ROI Clear podcast. At ROIClear.com, we buy multifamily apartment properties, we improve them, and we give people a great place to live. While we are doing this, our investors receive capital preservation, tax advantages, and a solid return on investment. To learn more, click the link to ROIClear.com down below. We look forward to speaking with you.